This video was sponsored by War Thunder.
Previously on building Benny's movie park. Up here, we're going to begin the layout. Okay, so I tried something here, and it can be either very cool or very, very whack. I somehow made it work. Guys, I mean, it is crazy how fast this can change. I am super, super happy with the progress today. This is looking so much better than I thought it was going to look. Gentlemen, welcome back to this brand new episode of building Benny's movie park in Planet Coaster. We are once again going to work on the Egyptian area, which I think is already looking super, super cool. It's a bit plain though. By that I mean it's just the buildings and no other stuff. This ride still needs a lot of work. Same goes for the bumper cars. So really there is plenty to do within these Egyptian walls. Not just that, to make sure this actually looks like Indiana Jones, I'm also going to build the plane from this scene. I always loved this design, so let's go ahead and get straight to it. First, however, cappuccino! Now, with all these sci-fi elements, I'm hoping we can maybe build that plane. It is still going to be a challenge because this looks very futuristic. This piece, for example, I think we can use. In fact, this actually looks perfect for the main kind of body. First of all, though, this has to be sort of army green. Here you go. The whole thing the same color. Like that. I've already noticed this piece as well, which I think we can use for the turret in the back, maybe. And we also need a piece for the cockpit area. This is definitely too square. This really just looks like an engine, so that's not great either. We really just need a plain tube. I mean, we also just have supports, which are also tubes, so let's just pop these in place. Wait a minute. This looks perfect, actually. I feel like this might actually work better than I thought it was going to. That is actually the perfect angle, too. The Star Wars area is going to be a field day, though. Look at this. This is basically the cockpit of like a shuttle. That's going to be incredible. Oh my god. Dude, look. I mean, that is basically exactly what that's supposed to be. That's perfect. Only difference is it should have had a window on it, but I feel like, I mean, come on. That is too perfect not to use. I'm actually baffled as to how good that cockpit is. Holy shit. Then now comes the tricky part, of course, which are the wings. It is, to be fair, it's a very weirdly shaped plane. It's very, very strange. It has to be a little bit higher. And then like that. This then has to connect to that wing kind of to make it all fit. And then we need the flaps on the end, which is also going to be fun. These can't go smaller than this. And I'm not going to install mods. I already know what some of you are going to say. This one we can make smaller though. It's not long enough, I think, but we can try use it. And strangely enough, that has to tilt downward. I feel like this is just a way more futuristic version of the original plane. Like it looks cool. It's a bit too modern, I think. This is supposed to be a 30s plane, which, let's be real, this really does not look like that. We can make the engines nice and rounded like the original using these. Already looks a lot more similar. Now, on the back here, we of course need one of these spinning ones, which we're going to put on fast. And then let me just search for something to use as propellers, because, hey. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Look, is it perfect? No, but it's definitely fine for what I'm trying to do here using the pieces we have. Then I will turn this back on, hit play, so it spins, and we can just shove it in up until right there. And there you go. Okay, that's actually sick. So then we still do need the flaps on those engines. We can see if we can use these, but I feel like they're not high enough. This would have been absolutely perfect if it wasn't for that piece on top. I mean, that just looks a bit strange, doesn't it? I guess primitives is the only way we can do it. Here you go. We can make it look a bit better by adding a sort of connection piece to the engine. And no, I'm not going to put the correct decals on it. But then now comes the tricky part, copying this to the other side of the plane the same way. And that would have been easy if it weren't mirrored. We need the engines on both sides and the little flap on the end as well. Okay, so two things. This looks absolutely sick. The second thing is it doesn't really have the same look, does it? I am very happy with... What was that?
This is your Captain Gary speaking, and I need something off my chest urgently. War Thunder is an absolutely insane multiplayer war game where you can use jets and tanks and helicopters to go to battle. And it's completely free to play. War Thunder drops you into high-intensity battles on land, sea, and air using real-world tech and jaw-dropping vehicles. You can customize everything and unlock advanced systems like smoke screens, night vision, or even call in a nuke if you're feeling spicy. And the new Leviathans update is pure fire. Command Stealth Copter, the T-72B3 tank with the Arena Active Protection System, a Yamato battleship. You can feel the horsepower through your screen. And there's even a brand new mechanic for anti-aircraft models. Now players can control multiple units at once. Finally. Also, 2 classic maps like Kuban and Berlin have received a complete visual overhaul. It is absolutely... Oh no. Guys, this is not going well! Guys!
Anyway, click the link down below in the description to download War Thunder for free. All new players and those who haven't played War Thunder for half a year or more get 100,000 silver lions, a special Eagle of Valor decorator, and much more. And remember, War Thunder is also available on your mobile, so that is very fun. Now back to the video. All this still needs is some landing gear. Allow me to try something here to make it look like those exact kind of wheels. The only problem is we don't have many options for the wheels, so it's gonna have to be this. It's not ideal, but I guess it will have to do. Here you go. I reckon something like this, and then we just spin it around and put it underneath. It is a little bit too big though. Let's scale that down. They have to be somewhere underneath the engines. I think this should be decent, and then the same exact thing on the other side. And not to forget a little one in the center here, because otherwise it cannot keep standing up. There you go. That is absolutely perfect. Okay, so that is then the warplane from Raiders of the Lost Ark, which I think is going to be somewhere around here. Let's have a look. I'm gonna grab it and I'll simply spin it around a little bit. Actually, maybe right here, so that once you're just walking here, you can walk through the arch and you see the plane. That's actually sick. Yeah. All that means is we have to decorate the area around it, so let's get to it right now. Before we do that though, I found something pretty cool. Look, there's these spark effects. Wouldn't that be cool to just add to this plane as if it's being worked on or something? Just right over here, for example. And one inside the wheel, possibly. Like that. Is that cool or is it just a bit weird? I'll just leave it on for now. Now the backdrop. In the back here, I think we should add like a hill, like a dune hill, because I'm pretty sure in the scene this is based on, there isn't much going on in the background. It's mainly just, you know, plains. So let me just make this whole area the same height level all the way up until this ridge. And then let's see over here, I'm gonna begin with some hills. The thing is, I have no idea how far this park is going to extend towards the back. So for now, I'll just keep this as if it's gonna be close, just so that if it turns out this is in fact the end of the park, it already looks good, I guess. Here you go, just some subtle hills. And I suggest we just make that go all the way towards this spot so it connects nicely to what we already have. I do think you're always gonna see the trees behind them, but I guess that's fine. Looking back, I do think I should have picked a different biome. Like, this is nice for the Jurassic Park area, but everything else is just, it doesn't fit all that well. Something a bit more Mediterranean, I think, would have fit a lot better. But, yeah. See how cool this is? This is quite nice. Just all the way towards this wall. And then what I will do is the dunes themselves are going to be slightly darker than the ground, just so it's clear you can't actually walk up these, especially here, because this is not looking very good. Here you go. It's a much cleaner transition there. Okay, so those are the dunes behind the plane. And I think on the plaza area right here for the plane, we should add some soil texture, like so, to make it look a little bit more as if people actually walked here or something. And in general, sometimes it's good to experiment with all these textures. And in the original scene, there really just isn't that much going on in terms of landscape. It's just a bunch of paths. Something like this maybe could be good. What we do seem to have is a bunch of tents. And we do, in fact, have actual tents that look freaking perfect for this. For example, let's go and put a few of those over here, possibly. There's even a big one maybe right next to it. Do you know what I just realized? There aren't any oil barrels in this game. Am I tripping or? That's crazy. Okay, well, I guess instead we'll use these. But wow. Okay, that is interesting. I had no idea. I guess we're gonna have to go with the more ancient looking ones. I'm really just gonna add a bunch of stuff I see in the shots from this scene. And since this is like a military kind of base slash operation, a bunch of junk, once again, is absolutely required. I'm even guessing this sort of camping stuff because, well, these are tents after all. So let me just put this over here. And since we now do have a fireplace, let's put that underneath. Beautiful. And also very crucial for this part of the area are some of these desert palm trees. This is one of the few things you can actually clearly see in the background here. And something quite crucial I haven't done yet is add a path that actually covers the fake path we made just all around this. Wow, that is actually perfect. And then also here, I'm not sure if this is going to be used at all, but we'll see later. What I do know is this has to be invisible path. There you go. So it's nice and sandy once again. Only thing is this is not so great. Too bad we cannot really change that. Anyway, what else? We might as well put one of these in. It's not really ancient enough, but whatever, it's fine. The plane is pretty futuristic as well, so we do of course have to make sure everything is that same army kind of color again. The flowers are not really cutting it. There you go. It's not ideal still, but we could just kind of cover it up. Absolutely beautiful. Man, I don't know. Aren't many of these like gray? I feel like they are in these movies at least. Strangely enough, this looks more military than the other one. It's supposed to look German. I'm not sure if this is really that German, but whatever. It really is about the idea, guys. Let's also put one of those on this side, I guess. Maybe like a piece of train here with a bunch of cargo inside. Allow me to just kind of fill this up. It does seem like we do have some structures in the background, including some wooden scaffolding. So let me just go and put something very, very simple together here. For example, a bunch of these slabs. That seems pretty similar, I think. Here you go. Then I'll just copy this over to the side as well. And if this doesn't look like an ancient ruin, I don't know what does. And then with the classic parts I've already used a million times, we can add the simple wooden scaffolding to it. It's very subtle, but you can actually see it somewhere in the background there. Maybe this is where there were some soldiers having lunch. We have to kind of create our own narrative here because it's not accurate enough to be a one-on-one to the movie. Also, I just saw there are trees peeking over the edge. So it's actually not even that far off. Also, can't we put like a food stall in here? Is that how that works? It would have fit if I left it the original size. Wait a minute. What if we put one here and then just make the tent a little bit bigger so it does fit around? Would that be fun? Or just really, really dumb? It does cover it completely. It also gives an extra reason to go here because otherwise there isn't much here beside the plane. We do have to make this look slightly nicer. And not to forget, the path has to be nicely placed so people don't walk into all these objects. And then paint it invisible again. Perfect. What is something that Germans would eat? Oh, hot dogs, definitely. If only that was bratwurst. That would have been beautiful. There you go. Open that up. We'll hang a cloth in front of it so you don't see the ugly bits. And this one looks super military. So let's go and put that in the front of the stall. Here you go. Just have to make sure this is a bit further to the front. There you go. That's pretty sweet. So that is a lovely little stall. This is a bit of a mess, though. Why don't we move this car to the campsite, and then this entire thing can go here for some backdrop activity. Also, very, very important, some shovels that are just kind of sitting in the ground. They are, after all, searching for treasure, so it makes sense. And now, to make the whole thing look better, I'm gonna add some more detail on the ground here, especially around all these objects. It often looks a bit better if there's just like that. It just seems a bit more believable that way. Also, it looks a lot messier, which we definitely need. Here you go. That is much better, yes. Maybe a little bit around the edge of the path as well. Not too much. Just gives it a little bit more definition. And even maybe very subtle hills here, because otherwise it just feels way too flat. Maybe even around the path a little bit, especially around stuff like this to make it more integrated with the landscape. We can make them a bit crooked as well. Yes, look at that. That is much better. Finishing touch on the back could be maybe some bushes on the ground, so it's not only desert. You can even enhance that later with a bit of a moss texture on the floor. Here you go, just slightly underneath. That is very nice. I actually love that. That's really good. It really gives it some much needed color, because without this, it just feels a bit too sterile, too clean. And what I do think then, to finish this off on the side, this isn't going to be accessible. It's just for show, for the backdrop. Let's put some of these buildings here. There you go. So just so it's closed up there. What we can even do is add some walls in between, so that's completely closed. Here you go. Nice and clean. Slap some barrels on. Perfect. And hell, maybe we can even turn this into a little restaurant, like an outdoor restaurant. Let me just go ahead and try something. over here potentially. Is that connected? It seems so. We simply have to go and add a little bit more path here so we can actually put down some tables, especially right here. That's perfect. Add tables, and then we'll simply go and grab tables. Let's do these for a change. Seems fun. Let's put one in this dark corner here and 2 over there. One of them in between the tents here, just a few. And I believe we can just open this up then. So this person's going in. We do need some lights. Maybe for once, some torch-like lights could work, especially in the restaurant itself. Wouldn't that be nice like this? Definitely a bit more mysterious, that's for sure. There you go. Just put a few of these. Or is that a bit too mythology-like? Maybe just regular torches instead. It's a bit more generic. And then even for some subtle supports, I'll add wooden beams, because otherwise it seems like this could come down at any given second. Oh, look, and there's already a customer as well. Great. Also, some restrooms wouldn't be too much to ask, because this is a restaurant, kind of. Maybe in here? Would that fit? Right over here? Pass cannot cross. No, wait, this seems to work. Just have to make the doors look a bit better. And I just found this, which I'll just slap on there because looks fun. So that is just an unexpected little restaurant for... Wait, actually, can we still make this invisible with those on it? Great, because that's, I think, a lot nicer looking. What I was supposed to be doing is adding buildings over here. Let's just pop another generic looking one in, and then I think that should be fine. I've also just decided people can't go here. This is just a staff only zone or something. Let's in fact close this up as well. Shove a door inside, fake balcony on there. And as you can see, that immediately does a lot, just so that when we arrive here, it all looks nice and cleaned up. This, of course, I'm not sure what this all is. Oh wait, this is the restaurant. I just really hate this. This is super annoying. It looks really bad. Also here. I mean, at least here we can clean it up as far as this, where it aligns with the rest of this building, but still, it's not really that nice. I mean, this I can get behind, but like that? Is there a way to fix this that I don't know about? Anyway, enough about this area, because I actually meant to do something else today, and that is decorating the top spin ride. This is not looking great. So really, we should fix this. Let's get to it. First of all, we need a queue. Not only for it to work, but also to lure some people in here, because as you can tell, it is awfully quiet. So let's have a look. First of all, we are going to go straight past the ride, and then we probably go inside over here. There you go. Then we just have to make an opening. We're gonna go inside of this building. It's a bit wonky, but let me just try it here, and then we'll have a tiny little kettle pen. Or is that weird? That is a bit weird. We just go outside? Wait. First off, this has to go. Is this a bit too much? I feel like, I mean, it can work. I wonder if this line's gonna be long enough, but I feel like it might just be. So let's connect it to the entrance. And then the exit, we already discussed, is over here. And shall we connect it here or straight ahead? This might actually have potential. Let's do that. Okay, so now I believe we can open it up. Let's go and have a look if people already go here. Yes, very good. Are you going where I think you're going? Yes. Very good. Go in the queue. Go in the queue. Hell yes. Okay, so that works. Then now, time to make all of this look good. First, what I'll do is extend the wall. This way I already know what the backdrop of the... It's all about the backdrop today, guys. This way I'll know what the backdrop is going to look like, so I don't have to guess. Or something like this. I think that is very important. So let's go ahead, make it nice and curved, just like we did on the other side. And along the back side is gonna go straight, so it aligns with all these buildings we have. I think that looks pretty satisfying. I don't know how far this is going to continue, but that actually doesn't matter yet. Right now it is all about... Also, I don't know why this is here. This is nothing. But like, oh well. You would imagine like a western area over here, like a small western. No. No, I can't do that. Usually I don't like it when areas are really their own thing, like surrounded by walls or mountains or really cut off from the rest. I like it when stuff kind of intertwines. But for once, I really like how this is its own little city with walls and everything. I also feel like it makes it slightly more immersive that way. But anyway, getting sidetracked once again. This ride. Hold up. I have a great idea. What if the exit instead is gonna go here? And then this will be another merch shop based on this ride. So I can build something around that. I think that's pretty great. But first we need the ride itself. This is not looking great, so let's work on this. On the edges, I'll start with these fancy pieces. Now, these are obviously gonna look very similar to all the other ones, except I do want them to be slightly different. I feel like this goes without saying, but everything I do on this side, I'll also copy over to the other side later. But I'll do that off screen because it's pretty boring to watch me do the identical thing twice. Also, I cannot believe I haven't fixed the colors of this ride. What is this? Okay, hold on. This has to be mainly brown, I think. I want it to nicely merge in with the rest of the... Oh, that's pretty nice as well. Hold on a minute. Let me just try something here. And then for the ride part itself, I reckon we just do this also. It's kind of a wooden sandy mix. There you go. This is already a lot better. That is for sure. And okay, so I know we just came off the back of that pirate area video with a ton of wooden structures, but guys, I'm gonna do it again. Look, it isn't my fault that this looks so nice. I did not invent this. It's the guys over at Planet Coaster. It's them you get to blame, not me. So let me just put all of this in place. For once, it actually does make a lot of sense to have some wooden stuff here for stability, of course. Of course, it still is very much a cosmetic choice, but still, it's nice. Already looking quite sweet. Also desperately needs some windows. This is, yes, very nice. I will then experiment with this piece, which I think looks absolutely insane. Here you go. And on top, why don't we try this? There you go. Is that nice or is that weird? Maybe a bit higher, or just the whole thing in general? Is that too high? No, that actually looks really nice. I'm not sure if it's super Egyptian, but I don't think it matters that much. It looks nice, and that's what it's mainly about. I'll pop the whole thing on the other side, and that is instantly a lot better. That is really cool. But to be fair, this also looks pretty sweet, where you can see all the insides. It's both nice. Then first, I think it's a nice idea to work on the shop over here, just because I feel like that's easier to connect it to that later. Because look, this is what I was simply hoping for. These two pretty seamlessly connect already. And just like this, we have one really big exit building that connects to this tower, which I think is much cleaner than just a few individual buildings. Now, I do want to make sure that this right here is also closed up so we can put some more junk on that. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm seeing an opportunity here for yet another restaurant, or at least place to sit and eat. So once again, we'll pop on some path, which we definitely need to edit later, but for now, we just have to go nicely around this tower over here. Then we just have one little issue. How the heck are we gonna get up there? Maybe with a bridge, or would that be a giant eyesore? Kind of. Actually, maybe instead, we just do this. We go through this very slim building and then down. Yeah, I can't believe I didn't think of that before. Since that seems to work, let me just pop some of these walls over here as a ridge. Still don't want people to fall to their deaths. By the way, since I'm definitely gonna forget that this is here, let me just paint this a different texture so that later when I'm actually gonna work on that, I know it's there. By the way, I noticed this is very busy. Why are there so many people here? So this seems a pretty solid base to go off of. Yeah. Should I first do this other tower, decorating that? Or should I first do this? Let's first do this tower.
6.5 hours later.
Just now, I did something. I made sure this now looks nice and finished. Up here is just really a bunch of pottery, some ropes, some giant wheels, just to add a bunch of more that kind of junk effect. And that did remind me of something. Why don't we go and add some palm trees right here? I'm guessing one of them like this, and then even a second one in that same pot right next to it, just kind of sitting inside. Is this nice? I actually quite like that. Yeah, it adds some height, it adds some greenery. Very good, definitely necessary, just like we did over there. And since we're busy anyway, let's put one of them in this spot as well. There you go. By the way, I also put some tables on here with a restaurant. This isn't really decorated just yet, but I'm not really sure what to do here, so I'll leave that for next time. Because today, my time, unfortunately, is up. I am once again very happy with what we did. I just wish we would have done a little bit more, but overall, I do think this looks pretty sweet, and I cannot wait to see how this continues, especially the bumper cars, since around this is also going to be one of these sort of buildings. The queue we could put on top of it seems cool. So yeah, fun stuff. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell not to miss a single future video, and then I hope I'll see you in the next one.